Cubase Academy. Thanks for watching the video. Today I'm going to start a new series I'm calling Cubasics. It gets really back to the basics of Cubase, the digital audio workstation. Some of the things will apply across the board, not just to Cubase. The first few videos will just really be about fundamental track types. What is an audio track, what's a MIDI track, and so on. But we're going to be working in Cubase and dealing with the Cubase windows. So I'll just get started. So today I'm going to talk about audio tracks. What is an audio track? What can you do with it? So on and so forth. Again, still pretty high level because Cubase has some amazing things you can do with audio files. Today we're just going to talk about some basics. So in the Cubase window, there are multiple ways of adding an audio file. I'm going to go to the project menu and choose add track, and the first option is audio track. Now the options available by default when you create an audio track, you have to make some selections. How many tracks are you going to add? What's the configuration of the track? Let's talk about that. This one says mono. What does that mean? That means a single audio source. So a microphone is a mono source. Two microphones could be used as stereo sources. You can record with two microphones at once, and if they're positioned correctly, you can get a nice left and right balance, a stereo balance. If you just plug a bass in to your interface, whether it's a USB straight into your computer or whether you have a device like I use a Fire Studio project by PreSonus. It gives me 8 individual inputs or 4 stereo inputs depending on how I configure it. If I just plug a bass into one input, that's a mono signal, so I record a mono track. If I was recording, say, from a piano or a synthesizer, a digital piano, I might have 2 inputs, a left and a right. So if the piano had something like a chorus or a phaser, I could shift the sound from side to side. That would be a stereo track. I'm actually going to, it doesn't really matter because I'm not going to record anything on this track, but if I leave it mono for now, you can see it says M here, mono. If I stereo, it would have LR for left and right. There's other options. These are for surround sound, and that's a more advanced topic for another day. Track name. Now this is optional. You don't have to add a track name here, but it's a good practice. If you know what you're going to record on this track, it is a good practice because it also becomes the name of the audio file, the physical file that gets recorded to your hard disk. And if you don't put anything in here, it just becomes audio 01, audio 02, audio 03, and so on. And eventually you'll look at your hard disk or look in your project pool, which I'll get to in a second, and it'll be really hard to tell what's what. So if I was recording a bass track or a vocal track, I would put that in here. And then output routing doesn't really matter. Right now it's mains. I could be recording something going to a group track. Again, group tracks are more advanced. We'll cover those in another topic. But I'm just going to hit add track. And it's added this bass track, and it's empty. There's nothing on it. I haven't recorded anything yet. I would plug my bass in and I would record. And that would give me an audio file. Now, I'm going to record a vocal track to show you what that looks like. Right? I'm going to go, it's record armed. I'm going to put it in monitor mode, which is going to change the way it sounds to you. We are now in sort of a loopback mode. You hear a slight echo possibly, and that's due to my very slight latency in my system. So I'm going to just make sure my metronome is turned on, so I count on the beat. I've got a pre-count. I'm at 95 beats per minute, so I'll have a 4-beat count in. I'm going to just hit record, and I'm just going to count to 4 times. One, 2, 3, 4, 2, 2, 3, 4, 3, 2, 3, 4, 4, 2, 3, 4. And there you go. This is a mono audio file. Now I can play it back. 1, 2, 3, 4, 2, 2, 3, 4, 3, 2, 3, 4, 4, 2. Easy. Where does this go? It goes onto your hard disk. Where on your hard disk? Well, I'm going to open up the project pool. Notice it's Control P. It's a good shortcut, Control P. And now in the pool you can see vocal count, and it's called O2 because I recorded one before and removed it, and I didn't start a new program, so I didn't start a new Cubase program. So normally it will be vocal count or vocal count 01. Here you can see that it's used, this is the used column, once in the project. And it was recorded at 95 beats per minute in 4/4, and this was the algorithm that was used to record it. More about that later. There are several algorithms you can use. And if I scroll all the way over, you can see that there's also a path where it's stored. And you can see it up here too. So in my case, it was a music project, Cubase Academy folder, Cubasics folder, and then in the track types, audio. In the pool record folder, let me show you what happens in, whenever you make a project. Sorry, I got a little delay here. I have a bunch of stuff recorded from the last time I did this, so it's a little inaccurate. But Cubase creates a folder called audio. So inside the folder that, see, I've got a Cubasics folder where I record these, and then I've got a folder for the project, which is where my Cubase file lives. And it will, by default, create an audio folder where all the audio that belongs to your project is saved. I've got a lot going on in here. This, let's see, if we do it by date modified, the last one I recorded was this one. This is the one that counts. I can actually delete all of these files, and it won't make any difference to my project. Except that one I can't delete because apparently it's being used. Oh, it thinks they're all being used for now. Well, another weird thing that happened when I tried to do this. So, sorry, if I closed out Cubase, I could delete those unnecessary files, because you can see it only thinks one file is being used in this project. It's 1.51 megabytes. Anyway, here's the project. Here's the project pool with the WAV file that I recorded, and you can see that's the type. I've got my system recording WAV files. There are other things you could record, but this is my default, and I've just always worked that way. Let's close this down. So I've recorded one file in my project, and because I actually wanted to record twice as many, I'm going to do a Control D and just duplicate it. So now I have another one, and I'm going to align it there. So now I have 8, 1, 2, 3, 2 full counts of this, 2, 3, 4, 3, 2, 3 versions of this, 4, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3. Yeah, you get the idea. So I just recorded that. It could have been a bass, could have been a guitar, could have been a synthesizer, anything. You can record anything as an audio file. Anything that you can plug into your system or record with a microphone can be an audio file. If I double-click on this audio file, I can open up in the edit window, which allows me to do things like scrub through the file. I can turn up the volume of the preview here. 3, here, 3, here, 3, here. I can play just this. 3, 4, 2, 2, 3, 4, 3, 2, 3, 4, 4. And in here I can be very specific about certain things. I could take this little section here on what is that. I'll just play the loop. 4. It's just 4. If I wanted to, I could control right click or right click depending on how you have your system set up, and I could say process and say reverse, and I'm going to choose new version here. I'll show you why in a second. So now when I play this 2, 3, 4, 2, 2, 3, oh, 3, 2. I got it backwards 4. I'm going to undo it. There. Well, I'm going to look at the pool and see what happened in the pool here. I undid it, so it's if I had have left it as new version, you would have seen it in here, because basically Cubase wants to try to do non-destructive editing. So if you screw up, you can always go back and undo what you've done. So that was recording with an external microphone or an external instrument plugged in. I can also, I'm going to remove this track here, I can also use the media bay. So if I go to media, excuse me, I can choose, notice I can open the bool window here too. Media bay, loop browser, sound browser. Media bay is going to show you basically everything that Cubase can see as far as your loops and your MIDI files and your VST programs. I'm going to choose loop browser. And I have mine set to category, style, and family name up here. And I've specifically chosen drums and percussion, and I've chosen a track that I like. But let me show you that I can click on any of these and get an instant preview. I can change the preview volume here. Now, some of them are not loops, some of them are just one-shots. But I have multiple. Here you can see the tempo that they were recorded at. But because I have this flag on here, this align beats to project, they're going to play at 95 beats per minute. That's the nice thing about the way that Cubase handles these files. Let me turn this off and let's hear the loops at their original tempo. This one was at 80, for example. We've got some, let's see, here's this one's at 130. Oh, it's just a symbol. There we go. So this loop is at 132.990, but if I turn this flag back on, it's going to play at my project tempo. So that's very nice, right? I think I'm going to go back to my... I like this one. It sounds good at the tempo that I have it. It was recorded even more slowly. The original was at 77. I like it at 95. So I've decided I like this file. I notice I have play, stop, pause, and loop here. I'm going to right click on this and no, I'm not. I'm going to just drag it in. Well, let's see what happens. Let's see what I really want to do is make a new file. So I'm going to say insert into project at left locator, which is right now at 1. Right? And now I was afraid of that. It put it right over the top of my existing track. I'm going to undo that. That's not what I wanted to do. I just drag it in and let it create a brand new track. Now by default I also have the files copied to my project directory. That's just a flag that you set in your settings, and really that's really the optimal way to work. Now notice it's fit this very nicely into the first 4 bars, and it should be in sync with my project. So when I play these two, 1, 2, 3, 4, 2, 2, 3, 4, 3, 2, 3, 4, 4, 2, 3, 4. Very nice. I'm going to duplicate this, Control D. So now I have two versions of this that are playing, and 2 versions of me counting that are playing. Now, if I'm going too fast, I apologize. I drank too much coffee and espresso this morning, so if you hear, actually this afternoon, so if you can hear my heart beating, I apologize. So let's add a different, let's go back to the media, let's go back to the media bay, or the loop browser, and let's see if we can find something else. Let's look for a vocal. Let's choose the vocal category. Oh, I need to unselect this. Well, I could just clear out all the filters. That's the fast way to do it. Scroll down to vocal, and let's see what we have to play with. Quite a few. Most of them are just effects, speeches, and nothing too fancy. Let's see what we have. It's kind of fun. This was recorded at 1:27. Obviously, it's going to be a lot slower if I bring it in, right? So let's go ahead and just drag it in, and I think I want it to start there. So when the loop's already going on. And let's bring my window back and see what else we have. That's fun. Let's bring this one in and put it right there. Okay, see how nicely they're fitting in to the beats and tempos automatically. All right, I'm going to put that right there. All right, so we've got 3 different vocal loops. Let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 2, 2, 3, 4, 3, 2, 3, 4, 4, 2, 3, 4, 1. It's still playing in the background here. That's some interesting bits and pieces. I'm going to go ahead and just copy all of those. I'm going to hold down the Alt key and I'm going to drag these over. And they're nice. They're snapping because I've got snap turned on here and set to bar. So nice and neat. Let's see if we can find, let's call this vocal loops. All right, and let's see if we can add a bass to this. Excuse me, a bass. Again, let's just go to our loop browser and let's clear out everything here. Let's choose bass here, and I already think I know what I want to use here, so I'm going to type in. There we go. And I want to use, I think, this one. So I'm going to drag that in. Okay. So I'm sure these don't line up sonically. Let's find out. 1, 2, 3, 4, 2, 2. It was almost in tune, I don't know. But just to show you what I could do, I have the info line turned on up here. And you can get to the info line from this window. You can see info line is checked, status line and overview line are not. So the info line gives me the ability to actually transpose this. So if I wanted to say take it down, the selected one, so I could take it down 2. Let's see if that fits a little better with. Maybe it does. Take this one down 2 as well, and copy the bass over. So I have this, you know, kind of fun little thing. So we can do fun stuff. Let's say I don't want that one there anymore. I'm going to just get rid of it. I'm going to drag this one to fill its place in here. And then I'm going to go to audio, process, reverse. I'm just going to flip that one. I'm going to make a new version. So I've got a backwards one and a forwards one. If I didn't, then the original would be reversed and they would all be reversed. So let's see. So now you've got these tracks in that one I recorded just with a microphone, and the other ones I just dragged in. They're all audio files. They're all editable. There's a lot of things we can do with them. And, let me show you one more thing. I decided that I really want this to be a little faster. It's too slow. I'm going to go to 105, and here we go. Something strange has happened though with these files up here. Let me unmute them and start, and let me play them and see what happens here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 2, 2, 3, 4, 3, 2, 3, 4, 4, 2, 3, 1. So you can see that everything else sped up. So even if I went something ridiculous like 150, ignoring the count vocal that I put in, it really doesn't matter. I mean, it does a pretty good job. Of course, if I go back to 95, which was the original tempo, remember in the project pool here, my vocal count was recorded at 95 beats per minute. So the difference between all the other files and this file is it's not in musical mode. And that is why when I change the tempo, it doesn't adjust. It doesn't adjust because it's not in musical mode. So what I can do is I can turn on musical mode, and I'll go to the pool and put that sample in musical mode. It's really that simple. And now when I want to change the tempo, no problem, right? So if I go to say 120 and then play the file with the count on this time, 1, 2, 3, 4, 2, 2, 3, 4, no problem. 2, 3, 4, 4, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 2, 2, 3, 4, 3, 2, 3, 4, 4. So no problem aligning files as long as you put them in musical mode. Cubase is very good at adjusting the tempos, and it really doesn't matter what they are, 60 even, very slow. 1, 2, 3, 4, 2, 2, 3, 4, 4. It doesn't even change the pitch of my voice because it's in musical mode. So audio files are very powerful, and this is really just scratching the surface. So it can be recorded in mono or stereo or even surround sound. They can be recorded with microphones or directly from instruments. The nice thing about Cubase is you can go direct with a bass or direct with a guitar and then use virtual amps, which we can get into in another session. But I hope that's kind of given you an overview of the audio track and what the basic uses for the audio track are. Next we'll get into MIDI tracks in another video, in the next video. Well, thanks for watching. As always, please like and subscribe, post any comments, or if there's specific things you'd like to see or anything you could add to this information for our viewers, that will be fantastic. Thanks a lot, and I will see you next time.